Welcome back everybody, and we have a nice sunny ride for you, and as this will be coming out in the depths of winter, New Year's Day I believe, I thought we could also do with a bit of sunshine. Heading out along the A6 towards the southern lakes in a northerly direction, and rather nice actually to be out so nice and early. It's Beetham we've just passed, and the village of Beetham is on the left, and soon we'll be coming towards the deer park at Dalham, which is over on our left hand side, just over the other side of that wall, and the River Bella that runs just along there. Catch a glimpse of it in a moment. Lovely deer park, love to walk over from Milnthorpe, right over the top, right down to the village of Beetham. There's a pub and a little tea shop on the right day. It's not open every day. So yeah, village of Milnthorpe, it's well, sort of a small town I suppose. Lovely market on a Friday. That's over on the, when we come to the crossroads with the traffic lights, that's over on the right hand side. And yes, we're out on Spitfire today, and Spitfire with a single seat and Q-bag, which you will have seen by now. Now I don't think that would have been the sort of thing anyone else would do apart from me, would it? It's the sort of thing I do. And part of the reason for that, I realise, thinking about it, is that I was born in just after the Second World War, 1948, so you can work out for yourselves just how old I am. And I was brought up in a period of austerity in Britain, and parents, of course, were very much make do and mend people. And whilst they didn't actually show me how to do things, I must have picked it up along the way, and therefore I tend, just very strong tendency actually, to, rather than go out and buy something new, I'll modify something or mend something or make it for myself. And I have mentioned in the past I made these panniers for the BSA 650 I had, panniers and top box actually. That was my last top box. I'm not a great fan of top boxes. I don't know why, but there we are. I know if you want to pop your helmet in something to go off for a walk, then ideal, but just don't have one myself on this bike, and don't really want one. So yes, that's why I decided to tackle that dual seat and make myself a single seat. And the reason for that, of course, as I explained in the video, which you will have seen, was because I wanted to be able to have that Q bag sitting much lower and not actually have to have it strapped around the frame, sitting on top of the dual seat. That means to get the dual seat off easily, you have to undo the straps on the Q bag. I did actually arrange it to have a quick release buckles on it, which worked quite well, but it still meant it had to sit on top of the dual seat, so that's why I did it. Beautiful day for a ride, very calming, and goodness me, yes, we're in need of a bit of calmness. Well, I certainly am anyway. And coming out for a ride on a day like today, dry roads, warm, beautifully warm on this road, so quiet this time of the day. Actually, it's never that busy, the A6, because the M6 takes most of the traffic, although we have had some closures, which meant that this road was very busy. Not today. As you can see, we're in late summer, back end of summer would we call it? I'm not sure. I had to have that explained to me. Up here, there's in the North Country, there is an expression about towards the end of the year it's known as the back end, and I didn't quite understand that, so someone explained it to me. All parts of the country have their own little expressions, don't they, which won't mean anything, that's how I'll explain it. Not quite sure what the ones from the south would be. I suppose I've grown up with them, so they appear normal, but sometimes I might say something to someone and they look at me a bit quizzically, as I might. We're just coming up to Levens Hall, which is over on the left hand side, which has an excellent cafe and restaurant and very good parking. Not actually been in with a bike, but I have actually been in there for meals, and excellent hour too, although I have to say vegetables are in short supply, and that seems to be the case. If you eat out, you don't get a huge amount of vegetables. I do not like veg. Over on the right hand side is a parkland which is owned by the Levens Hall, and you can walk freely through that right up to the canal, and it really is great. And this actually is, I think I mentioned before, this is the route of the 755 bus and the 555, and just back there was the bus stop for Levens Hall, or the walks in the park. Now we're going to take a left here, and we're going off towards Barrow-in-Furness on the A590. Not a pleasant road. Now this little stretch we're going to do isn't too bad. I've cut most of it out, and we'll head across the carriageway up through the Lythe Valley. This is the route we took towards Coniston actually in the last video. Over on the right is Levens Village, which we have been through. Yeah, some nice villages up that way. Brigsteer, Crossthwaite. Here we are now. We're approaching the River Gilpin. We're not actually going to cross the River Gilpin. There's a little bridge if we continue on this road and head back onto that A590, which we will not do. That's the River Gilpin bridge just there. So up the Lythe Valley then, heading north and towards Windermere. So yes, this is the Southern Lake District. Not a part many people know. I mean, this is often used as a cut through for a motorcyclist if they're heading off to the lakes to do some camping and exploring. I've come across a few motorcyclists on this road, not that often, and not that many cars either. So certainly lovely this morning to be out, and the lovely scents and smells of the countryside, fresh and clear. This part is actually quite level, and the road does take some twists and turns, so something to be aware of if you decide to ride this way. All of a sudden you come against a tight bend, but they are well marked, so should be okay. Lovely lanes off to the left actually, and to the right. Over towards the left it will take you over to Newbury Bridgeway, and on the right it's those villages of Crossthwaite and Brigsteer I mentioned, and that is the Lythe Valley. This is the Lythe Valley, I should say, which is predominantly sheep farming. It's well drained. It tends to flood badly, and fortunately those floods which we know we've had an awful summer. I'm not going to go on and on about dreadful summer. It has been wet and not terribly pleasant, but anyway, today it's lovely. Waters have receded, thankfully. I suppose there's a few wet spots further on, but all's well. Yes, Spitfire's running beautifully, of course, and that is the lovely thing about a modern machine, isn't it? We don't have to worry about them. So following Moto's trip to Norfolk, and yeah, with his friends, and one of them with the Honda 4, which is a classic 4-cylinder Honda. Unfortunately, he was having trouble before he actually set off for Norfolk, and didn't get that far before fuses started to blow. Couldn't make it, and I think that's the thing about, as Dave said, about classic machines. They are lovely. You do have to keep on top of them. That's the thing, and never quite sure if they're going to make it or not. I know that's true of my so-called classic Beetle, which is in everyday use, and it's great to drive, and that's all I need in a car. I just want something simple, air-cooled, cannot boil, cannot freeze, and yeah, it keeps going, but there are times, especially recently, when it put some E10 petrol in, well, not by mistake, but got very low on E5 and had to pop some E10 in. Oh dear, she did not like it at all. So that was a lesson learned there. Don't use that stuff. Well, that was the first of our double bends, and here's the second. Yeah, first time I came this way was on the Meteor, and oh yeah, it was a bit of a shock finding these two bends so tight as open. I hadn't been back riding that long either. Just love this road. Now it starts to have the nice rises and dips, bends on them, and it's a delight to ride actually. Thoroughly enjoy this part. Nice to ride either way, but today we've got the sun behind us, which is good. Haven't bothered setting the beeline. I know where I'm going. I'm heading up towards Windermere and Bowness Jetty, and there I'm going to meet up with friends, Mark and Nick, and others, Ted, and yes, I'm going to share some coffee and something to eat. They do a very nice Damson Bakewell actually in the cafe, and if you're interested in steamboats of all eras, predominantly classic old steamboats which used to ply Windermere itself, it's well worth a visit. Excellent museum, and there is of course a steamboat which you can take a trip on Windermere on, Osprey. So hopefully we'll be able to continue on this ride, and we'll see Mark's Clyde Puffer, which is a live steam Clyde Puffer oven. Now I think sharing these rides with you all, and sharing a coffee and something to eat with friends, that's just a lovely thing to do. And a really big thank you to you all for watching these and subscribing and viewing, and it really heartens me that you do. I very much I like sharing things, and I shared that seat conversion, of course. But yeah, some nice comments, although you wouldn't want to try it yourselves. You appreciated what I'd done, so it was good. And incidentally, I mean, I've noticed that I'm over the 950 now, heading towards 1,000, I suppose, but that's going to be a long time. That's a long way off. And in some ways, I'm quite happy They're bobbling around about 970, around that anyway, 960, because I don't want to make any money at this, of course. It's not my way. I'm just happy to do the videos and share them with friends. And this bit of road's actually starting to break up badly in places. Now this tight bend here, over to the right, that would take you to Kendal, Brigstair, Crossway that way. And we're going to carry on here, and then there's another tight bend just up ahead, and that left bend, if you take a left, that'll take you down towards Newbury Bridge, down some lovely little lanes actually, and we haven't been down there in a very long time, actually 3 years since I was down that way. So that's something to try again. Because what I like doing actually is sometimes I don't have a lot of time on the day, and so to come out for a morning's ride early in the morning is lovely. But, the last couple of rides, of course, were all day rides, which into Lake District, which was great. And we'll be doing more of those too come spring, which can't be that far away, can it? He says hopefully. Let's hope 2025 heralds much better weather. It's best to hope for things, and I think. Now you're probably thinking, this isn't really a lane, is it? It's not Lanes Explorer. No, it's an A road actually. A road in the North Country. But it does narrow down a bit further along. I hope you forgive the fact that it's not a lane. Now this is a bit narrow. This got very badly broken up, but it's all been resurfaced now. So in the moment it's in quite good condition. Quite pleased we didn't meet those two vans in this bit. Yeah, there's really only the one village along here. It's Winchester, I think it's called, just up ahead. Predominantly it's agricultural, just a few farms dotted about. But lovely countryside. Thinking about my chums I used to ride with back in the 60s, and I wonder if they would enjoy any of this. I don't think they would. They never did then, whereas I used to sort of nip off up a country lane, they'd shake their heads knowingly. And here he goes again. They were much more for the fast riding round roads, but that wasn't really for me. I had to have an aim, somewhere to go to if I was going to do that sort of thing, and I was never that fast anyway, as you might imagine. Actually, that single seat that I've got on this bike, there's a bit of a link with the past there, because the Triumph, originally Triumph 21 3TA unit construction Triumph, I had, which came to me in a load of boxes from when I was an apprentice. This chap Terry, he started building it. He was turning it into a Tiger 90, so it had he'd fitted high performance. Well, he had some high performance cams. They had two fits, some higher compression pistons, and he polished lots of things. And he was doing this because he was engaged, and the girl broke it off, and so he got this motorcycle as a pretty rough state, actually, must have been. And he'd actually taken the dual seat on it, and he actually produced a single seat from that dual seat himself. He re-upholstered the thing, and he made quite a nice job of it. Now, at the time, I hadn't quite aware of things called bobbers and stuff like that. I think that's an American term, isn't it? It must have been quite early on, because I know I got the bike all together anyway with this single seat on. It was a single seat, but it had a little hump bit at the back. And because these friends, as I mentioned, seemed to always be between bikes, very often I was taking them up to Brands Hatch and out towards Linden Hill in Kent. I mean, these are quite long journeys, and if you're stuck on the back of a single seat, actually on the subframe of the bike, that must have been incredibly uncomfortable. And I think it much thought of it. They were young. I remember one lad, Chris Mould. He was into racing, and he gave it a go. He had a little MV Augusta 125, but he realised he was very slow compared with others. He was pretty fast, I thought, but much slower than anybody else. So he decided no, it wasn't for him, and he was much more into actually preparing the bikes. And he actually built a Neeler motorcycle and sidecar, Neeler, and he got someone, John Ring, he got him to race it, and it was his old Triumph Tiger 110 engine in this, but he made a fantastic job of building this Neeler. And John and he used to race it, and then John moved on to a Yamaha 4 Neeler and did very well, actually. I think he came second to Mick Boddice in the late 60s, and another friend, dropping names here, who is Peter Jennings. He was passenger after Chris emigrated to New Zealand. Initially, no, he went to Australia. That's right. Initially to Australia, then he went to New Zealand. So yeah, they all did. But it's all racing, isn't it? It's all going fast. That's why I say they probably wouldn't want to be doing this sort of thing. And in fact, they really poo-pooed me when I said I wanted to go touring. That wasn't for them at all. Getting a bit closer now to the town of Windermere, which many people, of course, think is actually on Windermere itself, but it's not. It's Bowness that's on the shores of Windermere, and that's where you have to go if you want to catch the steamers which ply their trade up and down Windermere. It's always very busy. Long queues for the steamers, and of course that's where I say of course, if you don't live up here you wouldn't know, that is where you would catch the ferry across Windermere to go to Hawkshead, and then you've got lovely riding over there. And yes, they do take motorcycles. A lot of the time it's closed. It's often closed in winter. I don't know why that should be. But as you're riding up the A6, getting towards the turn-off through Crook Village, which takes you to the jetty, there's a sign up that says Hawkshead Ferry closed. And a number of times I've seen that. but if I was going to go on the ferry I'd come this way. Right, off to the left here, into Bowness. And it's the first time I've ever seen it, no cars parked there, apart from that vehicle over on the right hand side of us. So we go down to Bowness, through Bowness, and then into the Steamboat Museum and see who's there. Right, Steamboat Museum just on our left here. Just this entrance here on the left. And this is the Steamboat Museum, and that's a whacking great propeller right in front. So we'll park up and we'll see who's around. And here we are, there's Mark's Steamboat, the Clyde Puffer. A lovely little model, live steam. And he's recently fitted a different propeller, better propeller, so it now runs much nicer. And he sorted out the steam engine as well, that was giving trouble. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope to see you again in a month's time. So Happy New Year to everybody, and thanks for watching.